Before you take that first sip of coffee today, I want to tell you the secret my grandmother whispered to me when I was 17. I thought it was silly at the time, but it ended up changing everything: my relationships, my health, even my bank account, and it takes less than 10 seconds every morning. Picture this. Every morning at exactly 6:30 a.m., my grandmother Rosa would shuffle to her tiny kitchen in her fuzzy pink slippers. She'd brew her coffee in this ancient percolator that sounded like a dying motorcycle. But what happened next, that was pure magic. She'd wrap both hands around that chipped ceramic mug like she was holding something sacred. Her weathered fingers would interlock and she'd close these bright green eyes that had seen 97 years of life. Then she'd start whispering. As a teenager visiting for summer break, I'd roll my eyes from the kitchen doorway. "Grandma, what are you doing? It's just coffee." She'd open one eye, give me this mischievous grin, and say, "Mijo, this isn't coffee. This is my daily conversation with possibility." I thought she was losing it. Talking to her coffee? Come on. But Rosa had survived the Great Depression, raised 7 kids as a single mother, built a successful catering business from her kitchen table, and somehow managed to stay joyful through it all. Maybe she knew something I didn't. Years later, when life kicked me in the teeth repeatedly, I finally understood what she meant by conversation with possibility. You see, Rosa wasn't just an eccentric old lady with quirky morning habits. She was accidentally practicing what modern neuroscientists call intentional neuroplasticity, basically rewiring her brain for happiness one coffee cup at a time. Here's something wild. Rosa's morning ritual was hitting 3 different neurological systems simultaneously, creating what I call the triple threat of mental reprogramming. First, the gratitude component. When you actively appreciate something, your brain floods with dopamine, nature's reward chemical. But Rosa wasn't just thinking grateful thoughts randomly, she was anchoring them to a daily physical ritual which creates what memory experts call environmental triggers. Second, the anticipation element. Excitement about future events activates the same brain regions as actually experiencing those events. Rosa was essentially giving herself a preview of positive experiences every morning, priming her nervous system for opportunity instead of threat. Third, the timing. Those first 20 minutes after waking up, your brain is in alpha wave state, the same frequency experienced during light meditation. Your subconscious mind is wide open, absorbing information without the usual mental filters and resistance. Most people waste this golden window scrolling through social media disasters or catastrophic news headlines. They're accidentally hypnotizing themselves with anxiety and outrage. Rosa was doing the exact opposite. But here's where it gets really interesting. The coffee wasn't just a prop in this ritual, it was an active ingredient. Caffeine increases production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is like miracle grow for neurons. So Rosa was essentially taking a neuroplasticity enhancer, while programming positive thought patterns. She was growing new neural pathways of optimism, faster than her brain could create negative ones. The woman was a walking advertisement for accidental genius. Fast forward to age 20, I was working a soul-crushing office job, living on stress and energy drinks, convinced that happiness was something that happened to other people. My girlfriend Sarah and I fought constantly. My boss treated me like office furniture. I felt stuck in quicksand. Then Rosa had a minor heart attack. Sitting in that sterile hospital room, watching this tiny warrior hooked up to machines, I had what you might call a spiritual slap upside the head. "Grandma," I said, "teach me that coffee thing you do." She laughed, which made all the monitors beep frantically. "Ay, Dios mío, now you want to learn?" After all these years of eye rolling, So she walked me through it, right there in the cardiac unit with terrible hospital coffee and a paper cup. 3 specific appreciations from yesterday, 1 genuine excitement for today. Hold the cup, close the eye, feel the warmth. But Rosa, I said, what if I can't think of anything good? Her response changed my entire perspective. Misho, if you can't find something beautiful in yesterday, you weren't paying attention. Start smaller. I committed to trying it for 30 days. Worst case scenario, I'd waste 10 seconds every morning, and prove my grandmother was just a sentimental old lady. Best case, well, I couldn't imagine a best case at that point. Week 1 felt awkward and forced. Week 2, I almost quit. Week 3, something shifted. By week 4, I was a different person. Sarah noticed first. You've been weird lately, she said. Good weird. Like you actually listened to my story about work drama instead of trying to fix it immediately. My boss noticed I'd stopped approaching projects with dread and started seeing them as puzzles to solve. Instead of complaining about difficult clients, I got curious about what they really needed. But the biggest change was internal. That constant background anxiety I'd lived with for years, gone, replaced by something I'd forgotten existed. Genuine optimism. 6 months into Rosa's coffee practice, Sarah and I had our first fight-free week in over 2 years. Not because we agreed on everything, but because I'd stopped taking everything personally. Here's what was happening neurologically. When you start your day with appreciation, your brain's default mode network, the part responsible for rumination and worry, literally changes its baseline activity. Instead of scanning for problems and threats, it starts scanning for positives and opportunities. Applied to relationships, this is revolutionary. I stopped noticing what Sarah didn't do, and started noticing what she did do. I stopped interpreting her suggestions as criticism, and started hearing them as care. I stopped waiting for her to make me happy and started showing up as someone worth being happy around. The ripple effects were insane. Our conversations became deeper, our physical intimacy improved. We started making plans together instead of just surviving day to day. We got engaged 8 months later, but work was where things got really interesting. I'd always been competent but invisible. The guy who did his job without causing waves or generating excitement. The gratitude practice changed that completely. Instead of dragging myself through meetings, I started genuinely appreciating my colleagues' contributions. Instead of focusing on project limitations, I got excited about creative solutions. Instead of avoiding challenges, I started volunteering for the interesting problems. My performance reviews went from meets expectations, to exceeds expectations, to this guy needs more responsibility. I got promoted twice in 18 months, which had never happened to anyone in my department. The crazy part, I wasn't working harder or smarter, I was just approaching the same work with a completely different mental operating system. 2 years in, life decided to test everything I'd learned. Rosa's cancer came back. My startup failed spectacularly. Sarah and I lost our first pregnancy. Everything good seemed to crumble simultaneously. I remember sitting in an oncology waiting room at dawn, holding gas station coffee that tasted like liquid cardboard, thinking, what's there to be grateful for today? But the habit was so ingrained that I did it anyway, even though it felt absurd. I'm grateful Rosa's still fighting. I'm grateful Sarah and I are facing this together. I'm grateful this coffee is warming my hands. I'm excited to make Rosa laugh today. It sounds almost offensive, doesn't it? Finding excitement while your world burns down. But here's what happened. That tiny moment of intentional appreciation gave me just enough emotional stability to be present instead of panicked. to ask better questions instead of assuming the worst, to support my family instead of falling apart. Rosa beat cancer again. Our next startup succeeded beyond our wildest dreams. Sarah and I now have two beautiful daughters who think their great-grandma Rosa is basically a superhero. I'm not claiming gratitude practice cured cancer or guaranteed business success, but I am absolutely certain it kept me centered enough to make good decisions under pressure, to stay connected to the people I love, and to keep moving forward when everything felt impossible. That's when I realized Rosa's real gift wasn't just morning gratitude, it was teaching me how to stay human during inhuman circumstances. Rosa passed away last spring at 103, sharp and sassy until the very end. At her funeral, something beautiful happened. Person after person shared stories about her morning coffee ritual, and how it had influenced their own lives. My cousin Miguel, Tia Rosa taught me to appreciate small victories when I was going through my divorce. Our neighbor Mrs. Patterson, she showed me how to get excited about ordinary Tuesday. Even her doctor, your grandmother, taught me to be grateful for difficult patients because they keep me sharp. That's when it hit me. Rosa hadn't just accidentally discovered a powerful neuroscience hack. She'd created a philosophy of living that she'd been quietly sharing for decades. What I'd started calling Rosa's rules, simple practical wisdom that actually worked in real life. The coffee ritual was just the foundation. She had insights about everything: handling difficult people, making better decisions, staying creative under pressure, building genuine confidence, even managing money wisely. After the funeral, I started documenting everything I could remember about her approach to life. Not the sentimental stuff, but the practical strategies that had actually made her extraordinary. So here's your challenge, and I want you to take this seriously. Tomorrow morning, before your first sip of coffee, try Rosa's original ritual. Hold your cup with both hands like it contains something precious. Close your eyes, take one slow breath. Think of 3 specific things you appreciated about yesterday. Not huge things, small, real details. The way sunlight hit your kitchen counter, your dog's enthusiasm for breakfast, the fact that your car started on the first try. Then identify one thing you're genuinely curious or excited about today. Maybe it's trying a new recipe, maybe it's a conversation you've been postponing, maybe it's just seeing what your favorite tree looks like this morning. That's it. No meditation app required, no journaling, no complicated morning routine, just 10 seconds of intentional appreciation before your coffee kicks in. Do this for 7 days. Don't worry about believing it will work. Just do the ritual consistently, and pay attention to what shifts. Because here's what my remarkable grandmother understood: how you begin each day creates a template for how you experience everything that follows. Your morning coffee isn't just caffeine delivered, it's a daily opportunity to program your nervous system for appreciation instead of anxiety, for possibility instead of problems, for connection instead of just survival. If you want more of Rosa's practical wisdom, and trust me, this coffee secret is just the beginning of her playbook, hit that subscribe button. I share a new piece of her life-changing insights every week, and honestly, these simple strategies have transformed more lives than I can count. Drop a comment below and tell me what's one small thing you're grateful for right now. I read every response, and Rosa would have loved knowing her morning ritual is still spreading joy. Tomorrow morning, remember my grandmother Rosa's secret. Your future self will thank you for. Now go make that coffee count.